Underway in the third and final test, and the umpires, Mamia Savage from the Cook Islands and Maureen Lee from England, and the ball in for Karen Topping. Not finding its mark, Australia's ball, and plenty of people are saying that this match is as important as if the series stood at 1-1.
Oh, absolutely, Steve. It's crucial to show development across the series, and there's been talk here in New Zealand that it's not just New Zealand's rise, but it's also Australia's demise to see the gap narrow. Australia will have none of that, and they'll be looking to open the gap in this third test.
Sue Kenny giving away a held ball, and the two women that the Australians will want to keep on side, most of all of the two umpires. They have been hammered in the penalty count throughout the series, the Australians, as Edge went up for the intercept, and interesting changes to the New Zealand line, Anne.
Well, I'm still in shock. Obviously, Lee Gibbs has a lot of faith in all 10 in her squad, plus the introduction of Shortland. She did say early in the series that she would play all 10. She's gone ahead with that, but for my mind, I would be starting with the lineup that's caused Australia so much grief early on in the test matches. She hasn't done that. There's new bods on court all over the place. Foster with the ball. Edge has moved to centre. Shortland at goal attack. And, of course, a new keeper in Burridge to mark Vicky Wilson. And I really am not convinced she has the speed of Dillamore.
Shortland puts in the first. O'Donnell at centre. Kenny down to Wilson. Cusack waits for it at the post and gets it.
That was nice and open, and that was Cusack's speed, of course, working the baseline, but it also is the combination of Blair and Burridge yet to be proven against the Australian shooters.
Topping. And, well, if she thought Foster was heading back there, Margaret Foster didn't think so.
And I guess, Steve, that last move was a little evidence of the fact that New Zealand have had a combination that's been known starting, and, of course, with so many changes, there will be some measure of hesitation.
And the height of Burridge, 190 centimetres, coming in handy there. Tallest player on court by some half a dozen centimetres. And looks not unlike Joe Morgan.
No, they are quite similar. I think we started talking to her about goals the other day in a foyer, didn't we?
Shortland with a miss.
Australia.
Better known to many Australian netball watchers as Tracy Earl. And she retired after the World Championships, had a baby, and is now back and keen to get amongst this New Zealand lineup that is looking so good and so improved. McInnes, Kenny, and Cusack. The Australians will be hoping to take advantage of any lack of speed that Burridge has around the circle.
Exactly, and I think we can expect to see perhaps Wilson with some strong leads out of the circle, with Cusack doing a lot of the work along the base into the post.
Burridge.
There's a couple of things,
Blair.
Steve, that I'm still surprised about in this opening lineup for New Zealand. One is moving Dawson out of the centre. She's really caused a lot of heartache for the Australians through the middle. She's tough and a really hard runner. And the other, of course, is they've obviously put Shortland out there because she's known for her accuracy, and they're looking for that finish in goals from their lineup. Shortland, though, of course, more a shooter than she is a goal attack.
Topping puts New Zealand in front. O'Donnell centre pass. Kenny. Wilson on her own. Cusack top of the circle. And confusion in the feed from the Australians this time. O'Donnell getting the nod at centre ahead of Dalwood.
Yes, O'Donnell showed a lot of heart and a lot of strength through the middle in the second test. They have to counter Dawson, who's a very athletic and physical player, doesn't give an inch across the whole duration of the match. And I thought O'Donnell had good game against her.
Good stretch, McInnes. Umpire didn't see it that way. Foster. Shortland. Edge. And the understanding of Shortland is going to be a significant factor in this game. Edge and Shortland playing both for Collegiates Club in Auckland. Topping. Edge.
All right, nearly opened up under the post again for Shortland, but Harvey closed the space off well, and Filkey backed her up. Good combination.
O'Donnell, Harvey, Wilson, O'Donnell and Kenny. Oh, no. Easily cut out by Shortland.
And, of course, the post is open. What a start for New Zealand.
5 minutes gone. 5-2 New Zealand.
Steve, you'd have to say this is against all expectation, that New Zealand could throw so many new people into a lineup and still open with the command that they've taken.
This must give Lee Gibbs a lot of heart about the depth and the composure of the squad of 10 she has at the moment. Wilson. And there are some of the guys making the noise here at the ASB Stadium in Auckland. Sellout crowd, 3,200 here as O'Donnell takes the intercept. Cusack, McInnes, and a rocket ball to Wilson.
I think the number of errors both teams have displayed early on is testimony to how important this match is. It's a little like going into the final quarter of a game, knowing that you have the lead, but knowing that you want to go one further.
Australia coming back, down by 1, 6 minutes gone. Cusack. No, and Wilson put the dodge on and was the wrong way when the ball left the hands. Nickel, edge.
Instruction, New Zealand.
Foster to Topping, and Shortland just drops away from Harvey. All up, the penalties are around 150 to 100, so we're giving away 3 to 2.
And that, of course, is punishing, but I think the other thing that doesn't come up in the penalties conceded is the number of unforced errors that a whistle might pick up, steppings, held balls, and those, I think, have been weighted against Australia as well.
Australia.
And the missed pass from New Zealand presents Australia with the chance.
Harvey, of course, has not been invisible throughout this series. She leads with 41 penalties conceded to date, and picked one up then for pushing off against the player on her lead for that backline throw-in.
English umpire Maureen Lee actually apologised for having to make the call. I don't think that's much satisfaction for Harvey. As Wilson at the other end makes it 9-7. New Zealand by 2, and 6 minutes left, first quarter. Topping. Topping hasn't missed.
Well, irrespective of the outcome of the match, the New Zealand crowd certainly gets their money's worth in the opening quarter. New Zealand, in each of the opening quarters, in each test, has been spectacular.
Well, Kenny again a held ball. She often refusing to take the first option available. I think she ought to for a while, until she gets rid of this held ball problem that she has up this end with Mamia Savage.
Shortland doing well to keep the anchor foot close position to the post, and she's on target too. Oh, nice ball, floated to the corner, not quite enough on it. But that's a courageous approach to the circle. So New Zealand very confident.
Topping did well to keep a balance. And she's 6 from 6. 12-7. Big lead for New Zealand in the first quarter. 4:50 to go till the first break. Wilson needs this. Wilson also on 100%. Wilson and Topping still on 100%. Shortland just still not looking quite comfortable in her feeding role as goal attack. A couple of loose passes attempting to find Topping and resulted in turnovers.
Well, they would have had little time together, I guess. She, of course, in the international arena, another footwork call against New Zealand coming out. In the international arena, she sits as a goal shooter, and she's better in that position. As we see a turnover that denies Australia that opportunity and puts New Zealand back into the attack. Topping with a long-range shot, but quite a good one.
15-10 New Zealand. And a minute 20 out from quarter time. Wilson, Kenny, Cusack. And the nice fake from Cusack results in that shot from Wilson. And the Australians, when the quarter was getting away from them, have at least settled. Still drawing a lot of whistle, but going goal for goal.
Good work. Harvey and McInnes close down the space up there to force the error on Foster.
Filkey to Harvey.
Just repositioning the throw-in to be a backline throw-in, not sideline. Filkey with the ball for Australia.
Close those players. Australia.
And one that goes the right way for Harvey this time. And Filkey will take it. 2 players out of court for New Zealand. So the Australians should make good progress down court here. They do.
And I think that shooting circle is far more open with the introduction of Burridge in defence for New Zealand. Whilst we've struggled with some errors and some missed feeds, I think it's more been our placement than actually the difficulty of finding Wilson. I think it's far freer with Burridge in there.
We've just got to get it down there more often. Wilson puts her 100% record on the line and comes up short.
And I think that miss shows us Burridge's great strength, but really with Wilson on 100% until that point, it's really not going to be a very useful skill to have.
And time blown just as the New Zealanders get it to the circle. New Zealand centre pass as we begin the second quarter. They lead by 3, and both coaches, Anne, would be happy with their shooters.
Oh, exactly. Only 2 misses on court from the 4 of them, and with Topping 7 from 7 at 100%. Shortland 8 from 9, but will allow her 1 miss as she re-enters the international arena. She's on 89%. Wilson, that last miss right near the end of the first to drop her to 90% with 9 from 10, so the volume that is impressive for her. And Cusack, only 3, but she's made good with those 3. She's on 100% as well.
Kenny. O'Donnell. And Cusack. Just a little pump fake from O'Donnell. Created a bit of space for Cusack, who throws up the air ball.
Well, Burridge was very threatening over that shot, and you could see Cusack hesitate on release. That, again, one of Burridge's strengths. Steve, it's interesting, in the first test, New Zealand had more possession opportunities and goals than Australia. I think 3. In that second test, Australia with 4 more attempts. And again, in the opening of this match, New Zealand dominating in possession and scoring opportunities.
New Zealand at the moment with 56% of the possession. Australia, obviously, 44. Shortland.
Shortland set up the screen then, and she attracted penalty on Filkey.
And immediately the lead is out to 5. Australia must respond early before it gets right away from them. This new lineup looks very confident. Topping. Doesn't muck about.
Nice ball from Edge, and she's really got the feed masked to the shooters, and she's put in 11 deliveries already to her shooters.
Footwork against Sue Kenny. Foster. Harvey, easy intercept, almost straight to her. Filkey, who leads the 2 teams in intercepts and rebounds. O'Donnell hustles after it. And it's Australia's ball. The crowd didn't like the aggressive way that Shelley took the ball away from her opponent. It was always hers, though. Wilson. It's a long stretch over the ball that Burridge has. Foster. Topping. Back. Edge. Eyes the circle. And the Australians will be happy to take that. Filkey. McInnes. Kenny. Quick hands. Oh, well done, Harvey. Cusack gets herself up off the floor to be available again. And Leslie Nichol was offside, so that's a break for the Australians.
I was just laughing. There's a lot of whistles simply to say offside.
Well, I don't think the players can hear it too well. A lot of noise in here at the ASB Stadium. These fans desperate for a win after 2 close tests. Cusack lost the handle.
Out to have a go, but Cusack makes a meal of it.
Shortland. Foster. Cusack. O'Donnell available. Oh, I didn't see it. It was off the ball against McInnes. No.
Then Susie Kenny running through the body.
Topping.
Shortland setting up the hold. I think that's one thing since her return, lacking a bit of speed out on the court, but she certainly knows how to position in that circle.
Harvey brings it down.
That's Topping's first miss.
And she's got McInnes pushing off.
And quick hands from Sandra Edge, bringing her up to 12 feeds.
Still the lead is 5 for New Zealand.
Well
Filkey
read,
comes
Michelle
out.
Filkey.
Goalkeeper.
I think she was first to the ball, but as we've seen so often, the reading that if the defender's coming from behind, it's very rarely allowed.
Kenny.
Steve, it's a test for New Zealand now. A couple of times in this series, they've had the lead stretched to 6, but they've allowed Australia back into the game.
Delightful hands from O'Donnell. The on ball to Wilson. Edge. Australia needs a couple of turnovers that they treasure. Edge.
Contact, yes.
Against Topping this time. Only her second penalty conceded.
And again, Barrage tries to come out deep with the intercept, but she doesn't have the pace to carry it off. And this is a testing time for New Zealand. One of the indications of their growth and their maturity across the series is whether they can sustain a lead and build on it rather than relinquish it. And Australia coming back at them.
They can get the lead back to 3 here. Wilson. Oh, good fake from O'Donnell, having a strong first couple of quarters.
Burridge well over that ball from the side.
Cusack. Edge. Nickel. Shortland. Under pressure was Edge. And it's
Toss-up
out of
call.
play.
No, it's a toss-up indicated by Mamiya Savage. Both players are eyes to the ball, so they're unsided in the contact.
2 skippers contesting the toss-up, and Filkey wins out. Oh, but Edge read that one beautifully.
Never mind Sue Kenny, who was in the way.
Well, that's
it really
Edge's
is the
ball in the book.
confidence, though, and the strength on running those last few strides through onto ball that is working in New Zealand's favour. Physical as that challenge may have looked, Edge had the confidence and she ran through onto it.
Contact defence.
Belinda Blair, contact. Cusack with the shot if she wants. And she does. Lee Gibbs, a little concerned.
Yeah, she was just pumping the directions to Tracy Shortland just before she came on camera. Very hard to establish rhythm in this game for either team. The whistle turning possession over quite frequently. And as we've noted all series, very little flow allowed.
Penalty still going against Australia, more than 2-1. It's 26-12. Topping.
She's looked really comfortable, saving her best for last in this series. I read an article in a paper where she said her mind just wasn't quite wrapped around it yet.
I think it is tonight. She's shooting in the low 90s after being in the low 70s. Oh, well, Filkey there, surely. If they're going to rule that you can't defend from behind, where was Topping?
Oh, well, that is going to be, well, I was going to say an easy one for New Zealand.
Well, can't go with
That's a soft goal.
On that one. New Zealand by 4. 7.5 minutes left, second quarter. O'Donnell.
3 seconds.
Oh. You and I are slowing down, I think, Steve.
Must be.
A lot of body on court, particularly through the mid-court. The challenges are fierce.
Foster to Shortland.
Oh, well read, Harvey.
It's Australia's ball. I thought she was going to call her for a replay there for a second.
No, she was, I think, allowing the advantage. The problem being she hadn't mentioned that to any of the players. Once it was lost, she then called it back for the first infringement. But it's very confusing for players to work under that type of signal, or the lack of signal.
Contact goal defence. Hustle shot.
Cusack with Blair out of play. (22-19) to New Zealand. 6:20 to go, second quarter. Filkey hasn't conceded a lot of penalties. That's just her third.
No, they've come just with a burst in the last few minutes.
Kenny and Nicol, the toss-up.
Leave it too soon.
Well, we've seen that a lot too throughout the series. The speed of the Australians on the toss-ups confused for a break.
Shortland.
Have another go.
Happy to have it back. And happy to see it drop.
And that one drops. She's sitting on 10 from 12, 83%. In fact, all goalers on court well into the high 80s. So it's impressive in goals. Topping leading the way.
She's having a dream game, Karen Topping, as it goes to 25-19.
Nice ball from Cusack to Wilson, even though it was off the toe. All adds to the interest.
Burridge with a hand on the ball. Well, Australia went to the first break 3 down. They're 5 down. Looked like they were chipping away at that lead for a while, but New Zealand have come back. Shortland.
Saw then Shortland just hold a space, allow the feeders to put her in position. Certainly not overworked in trying to get possession of the ball.
Edge. Blair.
Well, Blair stepped right on into Cusack then. I thought she had good position, and Blair decided to continue on and lost it by going through those hands. She's been given a second chance with Cusack out of play.
Topping. Foster. Shortland.
Pretty dramatic stuff on the feed from Foster, but Topping's unaffected.
And Gibbs is smiling again. Why not? Out by 6. 4 minutes left, second quarter.
Steve, I would think that this is the longest in the series to date that New Zealand have been able to sustain a lead of that margin, 6.
Australia has conceded 29 penalties, New Zealand 15. Oh, high ball up, Harvey there, surely. McInnes, O'Donnell, Kenny, Cusack. O'Donnell to Cusack. And a delicately placed ball over Burridge. It's not easy to do.
Break.
McInnes to Kenny after the break in the centre third. Wilson, top of the circle. Cusack.
3 seconds.
Well, we don't have a 3-second stat, but that's what I was talking about earlier. We focus on the penalty counts and the imbalance that there is in that, heavily against Australia. If we're to include 3 seconds and steppings and short passes and breaks off a toss-up, I think Australia would be looking at a far more punishing statistic.
Attack, goalkeeper.
Burridge the contact. Wilson settles. Cusack open.
Inexperience then from Blair. She ought to have sat well back on the shooter close to the post and forced a shot from Wilson.
Kenny. Cusack, Wilson. Kenny again.
Good strong work from Wilson.
Joyce Brown. And Australia down by 3. She puts up the come on Australia call, and she'll be worried the way that this game is going, much as the 2 before it have. I wonder how many times Australia can get out of jail.
I think the Aussie girls have shown great courage throughout this series. All the talk has been about the improvement in New Zealand, but Australia, perhaps not at its best, certainly in either of the first 2 tests, has stuck in there and come away with the wins, and that shouldn't be denied.
Contact wing defense.
Topping.
Shortland exposed at the back, but Topping, as a measure of her confidence, shoots through.
Topping shooting 90%.
17 from 19 for Topping, as New Zealand get another chance. Here comes Harvey. She's denied.
Why?
Got me, I thought it was great. For any day.
Took it that cleanly. Shortland. minute left, second quarter.
Edge
29-24.
Edge very steady in the middle for New Zealand.
You think she looks more comfortable at centre than wing attack?
Oh, I'd probably have her anywhere I could take her. She's just a delightful player, but I think she's enjoying the command she gets through the middle at the moment. And certainly when you've got that many changes on court, you need a level head out there.
Breakdown in the understanding between the two New South Wales players there. And Dalwood runs off to warm up from the Australian bench.
30 seconds left on the clock, and New Zealand have been able to hang on to this lead. Usually by half-time, Australia have grabbed it by one or fought their way back in, but they're struggling in this one.
Australians will have to be quick if they want to find one more before half-time. Kenny, O'Donnell.
And if Dalwood is warming up, there's a couple of options. Kenny might find herself resting with O'Donnell on wing attack and Dalwood in the centre.
But it's half-time and New Zealand have doubled their quarter-time lead. It's 30-24. Sandra Edge recommences the game, and Australia down by 6. And how was that shooting second quarter, Anne?
Well, across the first half, Vicky Wilson is 15 from 17, so she's 88% for the first half. Cusack at 90%. She's now put up 9 from 10 in the first half of the match. But, Steve, what surprises me is the New Zealand change in the shooting department. Karen Topping, who was best shooter on court, 17 from 19 in that first half at 89%, has been replaced.
Yes, Shortland moving up to goal shooter. Nolene Taurua-Barnett on at goal attack. For Australia, Sue Kenny has been benched. Carissa Dalwood on at centre. Shelley O'Donnell moves forward to wing attack. A move, Anne, that we've discussed as being a possibility.
Yes, and that's what I was mentioning just as we're going into the half-time break, that we shouldn't assume that O'Donnell was going to replace Dalwood. Another option would be to see O'Donnell move to wing attack, get some strength around the circle and put fresh legs running the middle, and that's what Joyce Brown's elected to do.
Well, we hope it works. They're 8 down now, Australia. McInnes. Pilkey.
I can't fathom that call at all. That one's got me. McInnes had eyes to heaven. Dalwood was a little tentative, made the first offer and then hung, and I was about to say we need to have the strength and drive come from her immediately.
Taurua-Barnett. The penalty count at half-time, 36 against Australia, 17 against New Zealand. So they're still giving away more than 2-1, and it's hurting. Dalwood.
Close attention paid to Wilson from Blair and Burridge. Cusack working the circle nicely, though. Exactly as she should. With Wilson marked closely, she's got to have the movement coming herself.
Marilyn Melhuish, Liz Ellis, the defender, and Joyce Brown there on the Australian bench.
Well, McInnes really knocked flying then by the New Zealand skipper, Sandra Edge.
O'Donnell.
Obstruction, bring the bench.
And this time obstruction against Leslie Nichol. If the Australians haven't at least halved this lead by three-quarter time, you can start to write an upset in your book, I think. This lineup full of composure. Although I have to join with you, Anne, in expressing surprise about Topping being benched. She's not shot that well through the first 2 tests, and she's playing the game of her life, and they drag her.
Yeah, I guess it's hard as a player to understand the reasoning when you're having your best, and they were finding her well, and she was just right on target. Still, I think New Zealand is showing off, as we said earlier, the depth and the confidence they have in the current lineup. And so if they come away with the win, although that's a 3-second call in the last few minutes, just tilting Australia's way.
O'Donnell to Cusack. And Burridge too tall with the rebound.
What a shame
Foster.
for Nikki Cusack with so few misses on the board to miss one under the post.
Nichol.
Still not convinced that Burridge has anything on Dillamore, and I think it's a far stronger combination for New Zealand when Dillamore lines up with Blair. Mind you, they're leading the match.
Foster, Edge.
Well, Shortland working the back space on the base. Tarua Barnett, the small front holes at the edge of the circle. Now Shortland takes over the shooting responsibilities. She's sitting on 83% to date.
Nicol, Tarua Barnett. Filkey timed the challenge well, but Tarua Barnett, and the lead is 9.
Yeah, Nicol just burrowing the shoulder in as she tried to guard O'Donnell.
O'Donnell, Cusack, a shoot from there. A very worried Australian bench. Foster. Shortland and Foster. Tarua Barnett, Harvey.
Great work, Harvey. Foster had a wonderful drive onto the circle, but it's turned over again. Foster undoing the damage.
Shortland.
Tracy Shortland, having been out of international netball with the birth of her daughter and really taking a time to consider whether she wanted to come back in at international level and whether she wanted to pursue a place for next year's World Championships. I think that's been decided now.
Dalwood arrived there too late, and New Zealand come away with a penalty. Foster, edge, through the hands of Shortland.
New Zealand.
Well, sorry, New Zealand ball.
Contact, goalkeeper.
Tarua Barnett with the shot. And a 10-goal lead.
Australia is going to have to dig deep. 10 goals is a lot at this level of netball between the world number 1 and 2.
6 minutes gone, third quarter. 37-27.
Wilson deep out of the circle, trying to get the movement coming in the circle. Cusack's putting on the dodges at the top till she can find Wilson.
Contact, GK.
And New Zealand defence really putting the squeeze on at the top of that circle.
They are, and as a result, the timing was lacking then in the Australian approach to the circle. They get away with it, though, but they're chasing a considerable lead.
Contact, center block.
O'Donnell to Cusack. Oh, Wilson.
Well, she really forced that. That should never have been released. Better to hold up and take the shot. Wilson was under pressure then.
Toss up, Wilson and Blair.
Jason, free pass. Free pass.
Too soon
Only
against
problem
Blair.
is they don't know who's to receive the free pass.
Contact the ball.
Burridge the contact.
Contact the ball.
And the ball hadn't left Wilson's hand.
I think that's quite undisciplined play. That is a penalty, and it's quite known that you must be out and not interfering. It's untidy play there from the New Zealand combination.
Edge. Nicol. Down goes O'Donnell, and Margaret Foster's lost a shoe. Ball flew out of play. A bit of everything there, but not very tidy. So 8 is the lead. And you see there, the penalties conceded. Australia, well, it's not going 2-1 now, but it's still a hammering. Shortland.
Traction.
Interesting, Steve. Edge with good position at the top of the circle for that feed. She and Foster share feed, 17 apiece into their shooters. So Foster making her mark in this game too, with quite a few deliveries to the New Zealand shooters.
Cusack, as Blair cannons into the post. A few more of those intercepts from McInnes would be handy. O'Donnell, Wilson in the corner.
Sloppy work from Burridge. Again, hands on the ball. Goes unwatched by Mamiya Savage, and New Zealand come away with it.
Well, it was fairly shrewd play by Nicol. She kept herself out of the circle and used the ball for balance. All okay. Shortland.
Contact, center.
Shortland, long shot. Filkey, easy rebound. Dalwood. McInnes.
And we're having difficulty getting the drive through the middle. Both O'Donnell and Darwood caught wide, and now it's just bees around a honeypot. The timing through the middle not there for Australia.
And the step against Shelley O'Donnell. Foster. 2 minutes left in this quarter. Shortland makes the lead 9 again. I just wonder what they would have done with her in the lineup in the first and second test, Sam.
I have to, pay full credit to Lee Gibbs' confidence in the side. I really thought with the number of changes she'd made in this test, leaving off Dawson, who I think has been quite a key player for them, and Dillamore, who was voted most valuable player in New Zealand and won the test and received points in the other. I thought, well, Australia's going to open up on them, but they've really put it out to the world champs and let everybody know that it's not a one-horse race next year.
Edge, the lead is 10. And 1:20 left in the quarter, maybe 11 now. Shortland is not missing. Harvey. Cusack. Well, I don't know what that was, but Cusack's confidence is gone. She's missed a couple of shots recently, and that feed was a poor one.
Well, the pressure showing on the Aussie girls. They know good work from Darwood. They know they're in chase position, and it's not an easy way to play your netball when you concede that. They have been unbeaten since 1990, and they are looking down the barrel of their first loss in 4 years. They're not used to playing catch-up netball.
Also looking down the barrel of a big defeat. McInnes, oh, great aerial skills.
She's having a fine game. She couldn't be putting more into this if she tried. She's created a lot of turnovers for Australia.
Dalwood. Cusack, Wilson.
Instruction. On this one.
10's the difference, and about 10 seconds left in the quarter, so maybe time enough for the Silver Ferns. There will be. Shortland. And even the bouncy one's dropped for her. And the timekeeper gets up to end a miserable quarter for Australia. A great one for New Zealand. Australia 15 minutes away from their first loss in 4 years, and unless they can pull something out of the bag.
I know, it's looking quite ominous for them, and you can see that by bringing Filkey out to goal defence, they're looking for some more drive through the middle. Of course, Lizzie Ellis comes on at goalkeeper to try and lift the defensive effort. Not beyond them, but it's going to be one of the biggest asks they've had of them in several years.
Foster. Tarua Barnett.
Called in nicely by Tarua Barnett.
Lizzie Ellis chases Shortland. And an air ball.
Well, Lizzie Ellis's first piece of work has been handy for Australia, but that well beyond Darwood.
Darwood makes up for it immediately. And leaves the pass to be taken by McInnes. Wilson. Cusack. Has to shoot everything. 3 seconds, though. Doesn't count. Edge. And they're outnumbered. Filkey, having come out trying to take the intercept, left them exposed at the post. Shortland punished.
Shortland's continued on with great form. She's sitting at 81% with 25 from 31 in the match. Tarua Barnett ended that third quarter well. She was quite handy too. 5 from 6, 83%. Cusack and Wilson have nothing to worry about in the shooting department. It's just getting access to the ball as Cusack goes 13 from 16 for her. Overall shooting stats, you can see the two teams, Australia more accurate by 4%. Accuracy doesn't count though when you don't have the ball.
13 minutes left, Australia down by 10. And Ellis gives up the contact. And takes the rebound. Filkey. Back to Ellis. McInnes. Filkey leads out.
Sorry, my whistle's gone. Contact, goal attack.
Cusack. Into the corner for Dalwood.
Contact, goal attack, flag.
Foster. Tarua Barnett.
Contact, goal attack, the goalkeeper.
Shortland. Ellis again. Well, they've got to make something of these rebounds and failed shots. Dalwood. It's a better movement up court from the Australians this time. O'Donnell. Wilson. And uses Burricks to keep her balance, I think.
Contact with defense.
That's a beautiful feed to Tarua Barnett. And with 6:40 to go, they don't even look like creating too many turnovers, New Zealand. Australia hanging in, down by 8. It's 50-42.
Sandra Edge smashes through Simone McInnes on her way to the circle.
And that dark look was not for the umpire, but for a teammate.
Well, they'll be not happy if they relinquish this lead at this stage. 6 minutes, still enough time to drag 8 in. 3-second call. I think Wilson might have let her know what she thought of it. That would have made it 7.
Blair.
That's quite a ridiculous call at this level of netball.
Foster.
And I would call that a replay. I thought she had control of that and was prepared to put that in, fumbled it, took it again. Nice drag in by Shortland. It was placed nicely.
51-42. The looks are down on the Australian bench. No winning run lasts forever, and I think at the ASB Stadium in Auckland, Australia's is coming to an end.
As disappointing as it is for Australia, though, Steve, it's probably a timely reminder going into next year that, yes, you only win World Championships with a lot of heart, a lot of skill, and we've got to make sure that we're out there at our best if we're going to win it. Going in feeling we were 20 or 30 goals better than the next country would not be a good way to approach next year in England.
Dalwood. But as you found out, Anne, it's not always good to lose the last game against New Zealand before you go to the World Championships.
No, but I think this team has, the Australian team, despite what looks to be a loss in this series, has everything it needs to win World Championships next year, and I think they'll go back to the drawing board, they'll keep building, they'll consolidate. I don't think there's any ominous writing on the wall in terms of that. But that was a delightful pass.
Dalwood to Cusack. O'Donnell.
Contact goalkeeper, off the shot. On the edge, inside.
I mean, the upside for New Zealand netball is that they've had a drought on for a few years now. They've been on the wrong end of 26 to 30 goal margins against Australia. They're now back in the ball game and looking good, and that's great for international netball.
New Zealand
Two
by
superb
8.
teams.
3:50 to go. Silver Ferns are going to win this.
Contact, GD.
Tarua Barnett. Ellis. McInnes. O'Donnell. Oh, Cusack under pressure. He's got to come back, though. Wilson. That's against Belinda Blair. His mother's here, Judy. She captained the 1967 New Zealand side that won the World Championships in Perth.
You got any happy stories for us?
Cusack to Dalwood. O'Donnell. Wilson. Thank you.
Wilson, 33 from 36 under this sort of pressure. You've got to take your hat off to her. It's why she's regarded as the best in the world. 92%.
52-46. 2:50 to go. Tarua Barnett.
Fine game too from Simone McInnes. Filkey hasn't stopped all match.
Filkey now.
And when you consider the amount of whistle that's been on court, Filkey has only drawn 7 penalties, and that's not much for a circle player.
O'Donnell to Cusack. Dalwood. Gets away from Nicol. Wilson, no. And Australia needed that one to just get it back to 5 and to have just an outside chance, but not now, I don't think. Nicol. Edge. Nicol to Foster.
Good work from McInnes. She rode it hard, got a touch in the end though. Foster's strong on that drive to the circle. And Shortland's handy on the shot. New Zealand, of course, have been through quite a few shooters in the series. They lost one just before it started. They then had to replace a shooter from the second test with a knee injury. Shortland's come from not being in the invitational squad to suddenly being in there and now playing for New Zealand for the Silver Ferns.
Wilson puts in number 47 for Australia, and it's going to be a little late. 1.5 minutes to go. 53-47. Ellis can't keep it in. But it's going to be a toss-up, says Marmia Savage.
Well, the Aussies just won't die, but they've been second best to New Zealand all through the game. New Zealand came out strong. They've done exactly what they said they wanted to do. They've put all players on court in the series. They've rebuilt New Zealand netball. Lee Gibbs has been all smiles and continues to be on the sideline.
Touch over a minute to go. Wilson.
New Zealand may well have a new sporting hero, Lee Gibbs, in her first outing as the Silver Fern coach.
And what was she like as a player?
Oh, she was delightful as a player. Probably didn't have the flamboyance and flair of other players, but a workhorse, meticulous in putting in the hard work that was required, and a very nice manner. I think that's transferred to the sideline now as a coach.
Burridge gets the rebound, and with 30 seconds to go, and despite that loose ball, that won't be worrying the New Zealanders in a minute or so when they come away with the biggest win of the series. Australia won the first 2 by 3. They were 52-49, then 47-44. Wilson has the shot blocked by Burridge. It comes back to the top of the circle.
Aussies yelling at Maureen Lee to hold up time. They've wasted a good 10 seconds while they've appealed. Of course, every second crucial.
But with a 5-goal deficit, it's not going to make any difference. A point well made by the Australians, but it doesn't count at this late stage.
Time is up.
Wilson. Does it count? But it's a victory to New Zealand. 53-49.